Hello, my name's Tony Camilleri and I'm a professional forex trader. I've titled this slide Fundamentals versus Sentiment versus Technicals, and I just want to have a very brief look at those three types of trading, because there's three different schools of thought of trading: fundamentals, sentiment or technicals, and they all work at one time or another, but there is traps with just trading one and ignoring the other two. So I will just quickly run through. I said these presentations are only meant as a very basic guide. My more detailed course really runs through these things in much more detail. The first one that I'll run through is called fundamentals. Basically, what is fundamentals? It's typically a major economic news event that has affected the value of the currency, such as the Reserve Bank making a decision on interest rates. Typically, if interest rates go up, the value of the currency goes up. And if interest rates go down, the value of the currency goes down. Same with unemployment. If unemployment increases, which it means the economy is doing badly, it will affect the value of the currency and typically will make it go down. So generally, these things happen very fast. A news event comes out and the market reacts very, very quickly, and as a result it causes that currency to basically, over the long term, keep going in that direction unless there's a change in the fundamentals. Another event that could affect the value of the currency is called sentiment. Sentiment is something typically more of a minor news event that can affect the movement of the currency over the next 24 hours or a week or even the next few weeks. I'll give you some examples. Could be things like housing data, trade balance figures, or things like unusual statements from the Reserve Bank governor. I'll give you an example just right here. This year in June, the Reserve Bank governor of Japan, he made comments that he thought the value of the yen was weakening too fast, and he thought it was undervalued. So basically what that happened, how that statement affected the market is basically it caused an increase in the value of the yen. As you can see from the screen here, there was a big drop in the value of the yen. These are 1 hour candles, so you can see how far the value of the yen actually increased over that hour. Keeping in mind this is a US yen pair, so basically, as you can see, it's going down, but just means the yen is actually increasing and the US dollar is decreasing. But because the fundamentals were weakening the yen, it very quickly covered over the next period of time. So as you can see just on this chart, it already recovered probably half of what that statement did. Okay, now to the technicals. What is technical trading? Now there's a lot of different styles of technical trading. There's things like Fibonacci levels, pivot points, or moving averages. So they're just three things that are a very technical way to trade. And I said a lot of people do trade the technicals, and you can trade them quite effectively. I'll give an example of a good technical move on this slide. Basically what you can see there, the checkered blue line there, that was actually a moving average. And as you can see, the value of that currency, which was the New Zealand US dollar, hit exactly on the moving average and then dropped progressively after that. Then went back up just below the value of the moving average and then dropped again. So, that's a really good example of some good technical moves. Of course, trading is not quite that simple, because sometimes the sentiment and fundamentals go into major conflict with each other. And so that's when trading becomes quite tricky, because there's quite a few schools of thought about, should you trade fundamentals or technicals or sentiment? Some people teach just trade fundamentals, but fundamentals are great for the long term, but for short term trading, they don't always work, because sometimes the sentiment is pushing a currency the other way. I just brought this slide up here, and as you can see, that was a recent move. There was a big gap, and this was to do with events that are happening in Greece at the moment. So what happened? It gapped right down, which was a real big fundamental move, and really because the events in Greece are effectively weakening the value of the euro. But then the sentiment came in, and then the value of the euro just went straight back up again, because often with gap trading, when there's a gap, the gap gets filled. So yeah, that was a very tricky moment, because any newbie would have thought, okay, currency's going to drop, but if you would have put a sell trade at the wrong time here, you would have absolutely been stopped out. So that's the end of that video. So my name's Tony Camilleri. I'm a forex trader. I produce real trades and real results, and see you next time.